Hello, I'm Harvard Horiyuchi. It is May the 24th, 2024. I'm here to interview Colonel Roger Fosdick for the Leisure Village Veterans Club. I'd like to thank also Ed Lynch from Atlanta Videography for conducting this taping. Colonel Fosdick, thank you for volunteering your history to the Veterans History Project Library of Congress. You've had a long and distinguished military career as an Air Force officer. Also, you served in Thailand in support of our involvement in Vietnam. You taught at the Air Force Academy. You taught at the Air Force Junior ROTC program in California. But let's start first with your family history, okay?
Okay.
Where were you born?
Well, I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio.
What brought you to California?
A number of moves from my family. I was 3 years old when we went from Cincinnati across the Ohio River to Kentucky, Louisville.
Louisville.
Pronounced Louisville, not
Right,
Louisville.
yeah.
And that was my first visual memory of being anywhere, is looking at the house in Louisville. I'm about 3 years old. And I had two older sisters. And, I wasn't too aware of what was going on around me. And we moved back to Cincinnati and another 2 years. And so my dad was trying to find a position that would, he was an engineer that was trained in placement of things and timing of movements and that type of thing. Make the business more efficient.
Industrial engineer.
Industrial engineer, yeah, that's what he was. And he and my mother were both graduates of the University of Cincinnati. My mother did a little work when the kids were young, but then she ended up being a full-time mother. And back in Cincinnati again, and my father got an offer from Grand Central Aviation in Southern California. I don't know exactly where it was. I had to research it and try to figure out where it was. But so we moved from Cincinnati all the way out to California, and our first home was in Lackawanna, Flint Ridge, up there near the Rose Bowl. Which looks pretty much what it looked like back then with the addition of the freeway.
Yeah.
The freeway was not, the 210 was built while we were partially there. And
so how old were you then?
I was, let's see, when we moved out here, I was 7. 7, because my brother was born just before we moved out here, and he was the youngest in the family. So I had 2 older sisters and 1 younger brother at that point. And I did the standard things. Went to regular elementary school, but my dad was pushing for me to be a doctor. That's what he wanted me to be. So he put me in a Flint Ridge Prep, Flint Ridge Preparatory School, which is not far from our home there. And I started that. That was after I finished grade school, in the regular system there.
Yeah.
So I was getting, I thought settled in at Flint Ridge there, and guess what? We were going to move again. Except for my 2 sisters, they were by that point in in college already, so they didn't have to move anywhere. So for 3 years, we went back to Philadelphia, which is a whole different world from what I was used to. And once again, I'm placed in a special, college prep type program. Now, in college prep, we had to wear a coat and tie every day.
Oh.
I had to ride a train for half an hour to get to school, and then another half an hour back from school.
Wow.
So I didn't have a whole lot of time for after school activities, or I didn't live close to any, other children. So it was an experience that, I liked it, but I didn't like a lot of things to do. So in 3 years, back to California, back to Flint Ridge, different house this time.
What about your studying time after school?
Oh,
Was that pretty regimented?
it was pretty regimented, yeah. I had to show that I had my homework done every night. And in school back in those days, you did get homework every night, or almost every night.
Right.
So, figure out how to do that. I had to figure out which hand to use writing, because I had equal skills with both hands, so I said, I'll take this one.
Oh.
So everybody thinks I was a left-hander, but I did everything else with the right hand. So,
After school activities like Boy Scouts or something like that?
Well, once I got back to California, I had Boy Scouts, some sports, but I was no sporting whiz. I could participate in everything, but I wasn't anything special. Just a comparison, my brother went through the same school, younger than I was, and he was on the 6-man football team, and the sports were small,
Yes.
because of
Right.
the population. So, but I graduated from high school, and for certain going to go to college. It was where was the question. So we looked at a lot of colleges, but settled on the Claremont colleges, which is made up of, I think they have 6 schools now, 5 or 6 schools.
Yes.
I can't remember. But very good schools, and Claremont Men's College at that time, now Claremont McKenna College. And it's good schools. I took some summer classes so that I can maybe get through the program in a little bit shorter time. And I did well in school in general, but not. I found out I really didn't want to be a doctor. If you had to know about chemistry and physics too much, the interest wasn't there, and any high skill level wasn't there either. I mean, I passed all the classes, but they were difficult to understand. So,
How did you settle that not becoming a doctor with your dad?
yeah, he accepted it. He realized that this wasn't for me. He said I got there, and after I think about a year of being there, I said, and I had to take chemistry, and I said, what am I doing here? This is not for me. So I switched to psychology. That wasn't that great either. And strangely enough, the courses that I liked the best were the history classes. But everybody tell you, you can't do anything with history, So stick with something practical. So I thought, I'll take the classes. But I wondered if I'd ever make any use of that interest in training.
And yet the high level of achievement that you set at a young age set a pattern for the rest of your life. As examples here, you graduated basic training. You were designated a distinguished graduate. You were selected for graduate students at Claremont College. While at Claremont, working for your PhD, on the side, you took Air Ward College and graduated all online. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I had to be a multitasker
You sure were.
when I got to that age. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I was cum laude in college, which means you're pretty good.
Yeah.
Not at the top of the heap.
As pretty high up as the heap as you can get.
Although I must have had some genes that I passed on. Both my children were excellent students, and
Great.
my grandson, my daughter's son, just got back from his first semester at Virginia Tech. He's going to double major in environmental sciences.
Wow.
And some other environmental course.
Not chemistry, I hope.
He's going to analyze data, I think, or something like that. My kid, I knew he was bright, but he was really came back with a 4.0 GPA.
Wow.
And I'll never forget the experience when it was exposed. I watched what they did when I saw them, which is not enough in terms of their skills. And this is both my son and my son's son and my daughter's son. I handed Charlie, that was his name, or no, he brought it to me and said, "Granddad, I looked at this Flags of the World book.
Right.
It's pretty good, and I know I can identify all the flags now." I said, "Oh, you can't. There's hundreds of flags, and they all look alike. Many of them." I said, "No, you point one out." And okay, I said, "What's that flag?" He said, "Oh, whatever the country was." By the time I got to his fifth one, I said, "Okay,
You know what?
I understand that you know that information now." But when I graduated from Claremont, it was 3.5 years because I took some college courses. I graduated in the beginning of, let's see, it would be 40, 50, 64, is that?
I think it was about October 66.
66, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So October 66, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, go ahead. I read that you graduated Claremont in 66 in October, and then you started your military career by dodging the draft by going into Air Force and Air Force
I wasn't
officer.
dodging the draft.
You went to this Air Force.
I knew
officers
that
training.
the draft was going to get me.
Oh, I see. There's a difference.
And sure enough, I got one of those welcome letters. And I said, "That's fine. I got to find a different way of going in the service." And this one, the basic, everybody goes in, wants to be, or becomes a ground pounder. And I said,
Yeah.
I don't like that. I knew I couldn't fly because my eyes are bad.
Oh.
Otherwise, I would have, but I'm not really sorry that I didn't become a flyer. I proved I could fly while I was at my first assignment. I took a private pilot's course, And I was transferred before I got a flight certificate, but I got to the stage where I could take off and land safely.
Oh,
So I said I wanted to try to get in the Air Force, and they wouldn't let me in because of my eyes again. And I said, well, how come I can go in the Army
right.
and not, your eyes aren't good enough, you go to the back, and because I knew I could end up with a rifle on my shoulder if I didn't take some action. So my dad helped me in this, and we convinced the bureaucracy that my eyes were good enough. This is when I was wearing contact lenses.
Right, yeah.
And sure enough, they said, okay, we're going to put you in, take you in and put you, your major was in psychology, so we're going to make you a communications officer. Nice matchup.
Right, yes.
So I said, fine. And I was, went to OTS, officer training school.
Yeah.
Class of 66 something.
Mm-hmm.
They were running it through there like crazy.
Right.
They had have a picture of our class thing. There must be 40 or 50 people on there.
Yeah.
They're all becoming, including some women, they're becoming Air Force officers. So, and going in many different skills.
Right.
So after graduating from officer training school, and by the way, I enjoyed the heck out of officer training school. It was fun. We got to march.
Yeah.
We got to sit in the auditorium, and some of us go to sleep while I presented the lessons. So it was easy, and yet it was fun.
Good, good, good. I read from your documents that you entered as a private no class, or E1,
Yeah,
and 2 months later you graduated, a distinguished graduate, an E5.
E5,
That's right.
staff sergeant.
That's right. And a couple of days later you joined the Air Force as an Air Force officer. That's amazing.
Bar.
That's amazing. You went from E0 to E1 to O1 in just 4 months, a whirlwind,
Yeah,
kind of
right.
like going through the ranks. That's
They were pumping us through the
pretty impressive.
schools in short periods of time.
Uh-huh.
But it was enjoyable. They sent me to Keesler
Mm-hmm.
for about 11 months course to learn about communications.
Uh-huh.
And I had to take all the electronics and so forth, which I've all forgotten. Because I didn't use them that much.
Mm-hmm.
I found out that as being an officer, you didn't work on the stuff. You had other people work on it, and you checked what they did,
Wow.
which is good. So communications was an interesting field. They had a variety of things that were under their purview, and every base had a communication squadron.
Right.
And so every base had a small unit outside with the purpose of other people that handled the communications.
Mm-hmm.
Teletype, TV was just getting started there. Radios, all kinds of different. Oh, and air traffic control too was under there.
Yeah.
So between 1967 and 71, I think it was, you were assigned in Colorado to some unit there.
Yes. Oh boy.
What did you do
was I
there?
lucky? I got a 4-year assignment to the base, which is no longer there in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. It was super. Denver's right here, and the mountains are here, and the mountains are there for skiing and for camping and hiking, and My brother lived in Colorado for much longer than I did. He ended up climbing a good number of the 14,000 feet. They got about 40 mountains that are over 14,000 feet. I climbed one of them. I drove up the other two. You could drive up to the top of Pikes Peak, which is right, and you can see from about anywhere in Colorado Springs. But yeah, I was very fortunate to get that. So here I was, a 4-year tour in Denver. I had responsibilities, but the communication job is not a difficult job. You just got to make sure people are doing their jobs, doing what they're supposed to do. I did, as my position, I had to have a top secret clearance because they still using some of the old coding machines, Enigma based, and so the super secret messages are encrypted once and then double encrypted, and using these machines. So no one should be reading those things, but that's what the Germans thought for many years. It was false, so who knows?
These are the same Enigma machines that were used in World War II.
Yeah,
you're using them
basically
30 years later.
They're still using them because suppose they knew what you're doing. They couldn't be. How much of that true? I don't know. Well, I had to make some decisions. I'd come into third year in Denver there, and I knew I was going to get an assignment overseas. If I stayed on, I could have gotten out of the Air Force at 4 years or. So I had to make a decision. I didn't have any other career interest that I was aiming toward. Maybe I was lazy. I don't know. But I said, there were only 3 officers in the whole comm squadron: the commander and 2 more officers, and I was one of the 2. Commander was a captain, and I was lucky there. I had 2 good ones. And he called me and he said, Roger, if you like this and you want to stay on, the only way to do it is to get offered a regular commission. Everybody comes in at that time as a reserve commission, which means they can be booted out at any time. And that happened to my brother-in-law. He was booted. And that was after spending a year in Ascension Island.
Wow.
Down in the South Atlantic Island.
How about that for gratitude?
Ooh. But so I got a regular commission there. So I knew I was going to have to go somewhere else and go overseas and do that. So, well, I didn't do a whole lot of dating or anything, but I ran into a girl who was a younger sister. This guy came to really like. Wendell was his name, and she was from Georgia. And had an accent. So anyway, we got together and decided that maybe we want to get married before I went overseas. So we did that. We married in the spring, and then I get shipped in October. But I was lucky here. I got to U-Patao, got assigned to U-Patao Air Base, Thailand. It's in the southern part of Thailand, bordering on the ocean right there. So
a seaside resort.
A seaside resort. You walk out and there's Thai businesses all over the place. We weren't isolated or anything. there's a lot to see in Thailand. So you worked longer hours there, but
Right.
that was to be expected on these things. And it fortunately didn't have a lot of excitement, because excitement would have been probably negative things happening.
True.
Only one time and I never learned who it was the trying to throw explosive charges in air intakes of B-52s and KC-135s. They were all captured and danger.
So these were sappers
Sappers, yeah.
sent there to destroy the planes. According to the documents, you were assigned to that Royal Air Force Base with the 307th Strategic Wing of the 8th Air Force that was involved in Operation Linebacker, supporting forces in Vietnam.
And most of that tour, they were flying day and night, constantly going out. The barracks were all concrete, you know, and I guess I slept through a lot of noise there, but it was a bad time to look back on it, especially when almost over half the way through that tour, which is a 1-year tour, they send you back home for a month, and I couldn't help but in my own mind compare that experience with what World War II soldiers went through. They got sent to Europe, or they got sent to the Pacific. When are you coming back? Well, when the war's over, you know. And then the war finished in Europe, but not in Japan.
Right.
A lot of people are looking, oh gosh, I'll never make it back home. So much different experience.
True. So what was your role, the role that you played at the Royal Air Force Base?
Once again, communications. It was a communications squadron. We had charge for radios, all the teletype communications, and literally, teletype would just spit out of the machine, and such a different world now from.
Yeah.
I think none of my later skills would have fit in with that.
Right.
With that, because that area was changing so quickly. And it's all electronics now. Going back, I knew I was going to have to get an assignment back in the States, and my luck ran out. I got in with the Mobil outfit in Oklahoma, Altus, Oklahoma.
The 4th Mobil Communications Group at Altus Air Force Base, beautiful downtown Altus, Oklahoma. What'd you do there?
Well, I fortunately had a family, so there was something to keep me focused there. I didn't have places to run off to, and go have fun anymore. So Altus is pretty isolated, and lived in base housing, and that was an experience that we never want to have again. I was making it hard on people. The house, got to be in pristine condition when you leave it, and so forth.
Yes.
But that was one that I quickly saw that I didn't like. The mission of the unit was unclear. I never saw any use at all in being able to set up air base. We've never gone around and just put in an air base for there. So I said, I got to find something else.
And what did you find?
Well, I found out that the Air Force has a plan for people who want to teach at the Air Force Academy. They have faculty there, and it was a natural for me to want to teach history by that time. So I didn't have a history major though, so I had to prove to them that I could do history. So I quickly got going on some college history classes and showed them that I could read, read and write in history. And sure enough, I was able to get an appointment. The history department must have been desperate. They had they have they're in a strange position, all the faculties at the academy, because most of the academy people are flyers, and but they don't like to sign flyers for non-flying jobs for any length of time. So that leaves kind of an opening for non-rated, which I was non-rated. I didn't have a flying license. So I was lucky that I got that. And so they said, okay, here's the deal. And I didn't ask for this. This is an answer. We propose to send you to CMC, my old hunting grounds. And I said, oh, really? Yeah, and you go there, we'll give you a year and a half, and you better come back with a degree.
Right.
And I said, great, give it a try. So.
Yeah, and according to the records, they sent you back to Claremont for grad school for a master's degree in history.
Well, the master's degree is what I got in that first year.
Yeah.
First year and a half. So I came back. You have to have a master's to teach at the academy, minimum. And a few have a PhD. So I was thrown in every cadet going through the program at the Air Force Academy has to take 2 classes. They're required classes. U.S. or world history and U.S. military history. The 2 required, and I still think they're required for the Air Force Academy graduates. Air Force Academy graduate gets a Bachelor of Science degree, no matter what their major is. And I was shown in the classroom, and it was fine with me. The students are about 20 per class. None of these regular huge classes like they have at other colleges. We just sit in an auditorium with a lot of other people. We were at the top of Fairchild Hall, the departments, and then the teaching is below that. So we just take the elevator down to the classroom. Academy, an interesting place. It was when I got there in 75. The first time was 70. No, later than that. I can't remember exactly. 77, I think, when I walked in the door. They were already teaching women. And actually, the academy was only less than 20 years old at that time. And there were a lot of things they were still experimenting with.
And did you enjoy that? The studying, the writing,
the
discussion with the students, mentoring those students?
You're expected to meet them. And the beauty of the teaching the cadets are expected to do well and pay attention to you. And yet, your experience is such that you shouldn't be surprised and think badly of yourself as a teacher if you look around the room and they can sleep standing up. They didn't have to sit in a chair.
Yeah.
One of them asked me, somebody asked somebody, what's that experience like? The students would say it's like drinking out of a fire hose. The information coming
Right.
like that. But I did pretty well, and they had previously expected before I got there that if you were an instructor that you'd be in a Class A uniform all the time. Thank goodness they changed that by the time that I got here. So you couldn't even take off your Class A jacket in the office.
Wow.
But by the time I got there, I was there. And there were, there's like any institution like that, there's stories and stories of instructors that you would get some oddball instructors in a group like that to be expected. And I got along with just about everybody.
Yeah, well, you were teaching at the Air Force Academy. You were selected for advanced education. In the words of your superior, quote, Major Fosdick was competitively selected by the Air Force Academy for an extended educational program to fill a specific Air Force Academy faculty position. So you were sent back to Claremont McKenna to get your PhD.
Actually, it was Claremont Graduate School.
Claremont Graduate School.
It's Claremont University now.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh.
But yeah, they did. So I was offered that, and I said, yeah, I maybe can, I was already thinking at this time, maybe I can tie this into my wrapping up my career there. So I kind of started out in that direction with a thought that I could stay on until I would be able to retire. And I did. And they sent me away, and I have to admire the Air Force and do it. You have nobody looking over your shoulder. I didn't wear a uniform, because I wasn't preserving, doing anything military. I mean, I obviously had to go to the classes, and I never had trouble with that. So it was a pretty good experience, but I got writing. You have to write a book basically for the PhD in history, and I had a hard time because I was being kind of pushed in the direction by the guy who became the department head. He was one rank above me at that point. And he was pushing me to use statistics in whatever I examined. And I said, okay. So I looked for something to use statistics on. And I found that the Stouffer organization during World War II was using their skill at taking surveys of people's attitudes and so forth, which would have been perfected into an art now. All kind of polls taken, and that's what the army did during the war, because they were doing it because they were worried about long-term morale in a big long war. They didn't know whether the Americans could stand up to that kind of pressure. So I decided to try to do something on that. And I did, but I struggled with it. And nobody I knew of finished their PhD before they got back to college. So I had to come back to the academy, back into by that point I was senior major, really looking to become a lieutenant colonel. And I was getting more and more responsibility piled on.
Right.
It was a little stressful, I guess.
And yet you found time to write a book, your PhD dissertation, a book entitled A Call to Arms, the American Enlisted Soldier in World War II, which was published in 1985. And I looked at it, it's a retrospective study utilizing statistical analysis of groups relative to their level of morale in World War II.
Yeah, that pretty well describes it. So
Yeah.
it's not exciting. There's no action in it. And few people have read it. I had an experience with one. This is just to give you an idea. We like to go on cruises and run a cruise, and the lady found out that I had written a book
Mm-hmm.
for the thing, and I said, it's not very interesting, but she said, I want to try to get a hold of it. And I said, well, I don't really know how you're going to do that. I think the only place you can get a hold of them generally is through University Microfilms, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can get as many published as you want when you publish them yourself.
True.
So I did enough that I could give to the family members and know. And that was a waste. None of my family's ever read the book. And I can't blame them, really. It is kind of boring. But I showed that the morale really was in good shape early in the war.
Mm-hmm.
First 2 years of the war, morale was good shape. Then you get actual contact in heavy units, and they stop asking certain questions even, morale is sinking. Now, did it ever get bad enough that you had to fear anything? I don't think so. But there was no enthusiasm
Right.
at all to get up from finishing up in Europe and going over to
Mm-hmm.
trying to finish off Japan. So this lady couldn't find the book except to order it from you could take it out of the library in Washington. So you got a copy there. Of course, I got a copy at the Air Force Academy too. But that's about it.
Yeah.
So I didn't write the latest thriller.
And after retiring from the academy, you didn't sit back, but you embarked on another military career in addition to your military career as an Air Force junior ROTC instructor with the Moreno Valley Unified School District.
Yes.
You did that for how long?
I did that for 19 years and enjoyed it. I continued doing it. I was in charge.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to answer to anybody else except for that. And just to keep the principal happy.
Mm-hmm.
And the principal didn't know what we were doing back there, so we kept him happy and got to work with a lot of students. And
Good.
but I had an NCO that worked with me.
Oh.
And I said, there were two of us, and we both taught class.
Mm-hmm.
Both those two. And I was lucky. I had a pretty good one, a chief early on, pretty good one. Then I got a tech sergeant. And I thought, gee, you only made tech sergeant. He was in the MPs.
Mm-hmm.
He had to guard planes like in Europe, you know, on bases there. They got wild guys walking around them. So we never discussed, you know, discussing. I always wondered why he didn't at least make it to master sergeant.
Yeah.
There's the former ones were chief master sergeant.
Oh, I see.
I had a lady chief master sergeant for a little while.
So they were E8 and E9s.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was a 6.
Yeah.
Mm.
But he was great once I got him trained, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, first he had an office. We both had used the same office, and then we had teaching classroom on either side of that. So you know, we'd sit in the same thing. So you know, he really became adept at handling the students and everything. So
Kept you real busy though.
yeah.
But you found time in 1996 to get married to Fumiko.
Oh yes.
So in 1996, you married Fumiko, and you were still teaching as a Air Force ROTC, Junior Air Force ROTC at school, and you had your summers off.
Yes.
So you started taking off to different places to see the world. Places like, you were telling me, India, Turkey, Russia,
Yeah.
just
China.
China,
Oh, a bunch of places.
a whole bunch of places.
Indonesia.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
There was one picture I particularly enjoyed, the picture of Fumiko straddling where the Berlin Wall used to be. She had the freedom to stand there and
1 foot on one side.
1 foot on one side, 1 foot on the other, right in front of the Brandenburg gate.
Yeah. Center of Berlin.
Yep. And she had the freedom, anybody had the freedom to do that because of what the military did during the Cold War.
That's right. That was a real important event.
Mm-hmm.
And the Iron Curtain came down. Somehow it hasn't solved all our problems, though.
It has not, but it certainly made it possible for her to stand there with that picture.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
then, and then you retired from teaching
Yes.
junior ROTC program.
2009, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
We had enough time spent doing that. And settled down trying to play tennis and plan some trips and have some reunions with my family and some good family reunions.
Mm-hmm.
I had my second oldest sister married a gentleman who was a super salesman, and he became very wealthy, so she became very wealthy, and enabled us to plan some events for the whole extended family could go to. And we had
I remember you mentioning Hugh Oliphant
Hugh Oliphant, yeah.
and his wife taking you to where? The clan to Barbados?
Barbados, yeah. Seaside villa. Slept about 32 people.
Mm-hmm.
With all those kids. You just go down and order your meal. And then the chefs in the villa would whip it up for you, whatever you
Wow.
want. It was a real dream experience.
No, say it was.
Also worth about $45,000. But no, she traveled extensively. I couldn't keep up with her. She made a couple of round the world trips.
Mm-hmm.
We fly around the world and stop at key places.
Nice.
And she's the only person I know that been places like Pelelu in the South Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
where we fought one of our dumbest battles of World War II. One that didn't have to be fought. All we had to do was just let them sit there. And we decided that we needed to get rid of them and lost a bunch of good guys. And that mistake by MacArthur. But yeah, we got a chance to see a lot of good things.
Another photo shows you and your wife dancing at, what do they call it, a dining in party
Yes,
in your honor, when you retired from teaching the junior Air Force ROTC,
yeah, dining in and a dining out.
or dining out. Mm-hmm.
Dining
So-
in ball, military ball. So, yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed those years. They're pretty good. But my guess, in between on the first family, second family, I was divorced. Or she divorced me actually. Because she wanted to move from Colorado out to Southern California.
Mm.
And that's where I worked in Southern California by the time. So we each went our own way, and strangely we're back to seeing each other occasionally, because she now lives in Denver with my daughter close enough to help take care of her. She is fighting the same disease that I have now.
So what are your kids doing now?
My kids have been very successful so far, or at least I think so. My daughter married a guy. She went to Northwestern University. She didn't know him there, but met her afterwards. And nice fellow, but hard to get close to. We have much contact with him. And my son, she was in computers, but now it's just family,
Yeah.
House mom. My son, however, works for SpaceX
Mm-hmm.
and is head of the division in Washington State, which produces all the thousands of satellites
Wow.
we have flying around. He worked for them. He used to work for Microsoft out of college. And an opening came at SpaceX, and he's been there for 11 or 12 years. So he had contact with Elon, briefed him a couple of times on subjects. Got us a chance to go downtown Hawthorne here and get a look inside SpaceX building. When he gets out here, you have to have a sponsor, somebody, a family member to take in. Anybody just can't go in there and get a thing.
So maybe you're going to go out into space before you're going to go down in a submarine using your contacts, huh?
I don't think so. I don't think so on that one.
But you spent a total of 38 years in uniform.
Yeah, not too many wears on uniform that long. But, I didn't mind.
You affected, you taught, you affected, you mentored thousands of people, thousands of your students.
Yeah, I hope most of them have done well. I used to hear from some of them, but it's kind of hard to stay in touch.
38 years. Congratulations on a fantastic job that you've done. Much appreciated.
It's been an experience.
Well, you made the most of it. No doubt
You
about
sure
that.
did.
Glad to have shared it with you.
Thank you so much for sharing, sir.
And thank you for your service, Roger.
Thank you.
Okay, so